Now it's time for panel discussion. I'm gonna call our first panelist, Professor A. Vijay Kumar sir. He completed his education in MA, MBA in International Fellowship in Educational Sociology. He has corporate experience of 10 years. He's done social and educational entrepreneur since 1989 as chief mentor, founder, president of India Trust, a national public non-government organization. India Trust is a 30-year-old national public non-government organization. India Trust was a nodal center for EDI Ahmedabad for South Indian states. India Trust has reached more than 1 million youth in India and have educated, trained and developed 1 lakh entrepreneurs. Career Development Foundation of India, a unit of India Trust, has been the Cambridge International Associate Partner of University of Cambridge, UK between 2000 and 2010. Spellbee International, an initiative of India Trust, is now promoting the English language development program in 15 states. More than 10 lakh school children through thousands of schools have participated in the program for the last 12 years. India Trust has been supporting Entrepreneurship Development Institute, Government of Tamil Nadu in the area of faculty development and entrepreneurship awareness and motivation for the last 10 years. With this, I want to welcome Professor Vijay Kumar. Welcome, sir. The stage is all yours.
All right. Along with Vijay Kumar sir, and I would like to invite one more panelist. Before that, if you ask me to give an intro about Vijay Kumar sir, in one line, if you ask me to say, he has been a person who has been creating multiple business magnets. So like those who have been in Tamil Nadu, you'll be definitely knowing he has created so many business magnets. And now it's time for me to invite one more panelist along with him, who has been working on huge task of creating multiple intelligence based and life skills based K-12 curriculum. She has 15 plus years of experience, which she has collaborated with a wide range of civil service organizations, NGOs, educational institutions to implement, manage educational programs. And she is proficient in project management and also in research report writing. And she has masters in sociology, and she doesn't stop with that. And now she has been pursuing PhD in human capital management. And if you ask me how many lives she has touched, she has trained more than 5,000 students on career management, and she has led more than 50 leadership camps, and she has also penned books on game-based and non-compartmentalized learning. So it's my pleasure welcoming Arulmozhi Arasi ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
I'm here, sir. Thank you.
All right. So with that, I would like to hand over the panel to the Professor Vijay Kumar sir and also Arulmozhi Arasi ma'am. Over to you.
So good afternoon to all the enterprising participants of today's program. Now, at this point of time, I have been asked to handle this panel along with Madam Arulmozhi Arasi on career aspirations and the fourth industrial revolution. As I have been observing the previous sessions and host of the speakers' deliberation, I am able to understand that this program has been one of the very relevant and most user-friendly program that is taking place at this point of time, where right from the global crisis to the national to the regional and local crisis has been devastating the people, not in the area of their business or enterprise management, but the career itself. At this point of time, when we are going to talk about career, since I have been in this world of career management for the last 30 years, I can very sarcastically or in a lighter way, I like to say that we all remember a story when the sixth blind man was feeling an elephant, and they were able to disclose their own ideas about an elephant in terms of person touching the trunk and talking about the pillar, and feeling the body and talking about the wall, and touching the tail and feeling like a rope, and host of so many misconceptions. I think India is reeling under the same kind of misconception of talking about career. We know today what is employment, we know what is job, we really do not know what is career. I have been associating with thousands of colleges and hundreds of universities in the last 30 years. I really felt that this is an important subject which should be now discussed with various stakeholders. And it should become a continuous process of identifying the meaning of career management and taking that to right from KG to the PG level. Anyhow, this is the kind of opportunities that we are now sharing to discuss and deliberate how we will be working on that issue. As a matter of fact, if you see the last 100 years, the educational revolution and industrial revolution went hand in hand. Every time there is a revolution in industry and society, the education also changed. But unfortunately, in the last 20 to 30 years, there is a huge gap has taken place with the industrial and social change and educational revolution. And the more important now, after 34 years, the new education policy has been announced by the government. And I think everything has become now a huge chaos. People are not there in schools and colleges. Educationists are not in the streets. Policymakers are sitting away on the ivory tower. Common man, who is an important stakeholder, has not entered the world of new education policy. He don't even know an iota what is new education policy about. And he is not even aware of having understood what is the past education, where he is going to connect to the new education. It is under these circumstances this panel is going to talk. And I have Madam Arulmozhi Arasi, who has been in the field of education for the last 15 years. More than educationist, I should tell her as a parent, and how she has been also become a second teacher and a first parent, and also vice versa in her career. She has got excellent example in her own family, how this educational reformation has taken place right from her home. So may I now request Madam Arulmozhi Arasi to take the platform and engage us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vijay Kumar sir. I will just confirm if my audio is clear first.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very, very much. Great. My greetings to the august panel and the organizers and all the participants who are here in this webinar. I'm Arulmozhi and I am an educational consultant. I've been this for the past, say, 15 plus years. And more than an educational consultant, like Mr. Vijay Kumar sir said, in this webinar today, I would like to speak as a parent. All right, I'll be loud. Thank you so much. Right. More than an educational consultant, in this webinar today, I would like to speak as a parent, if it's all right with everybody. And I will also share the case studies, my own personal case studies as requested by sir. Right.
Yes, screen is visible, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Right. So this is the topic, the theme around which this session is going to be, this panel discussion is going to be. And I will be today a parent who speaks a little louder if it's allowed. Because generally parents are the silent lot, right? Kani ma'am, I hope this is loud enough. So industrial revolution so far, we have about the fourth one's happening currently, but people say there is also the fifth revolution that's already started. And this is how the technology has influenced the society so far. And how has our educational landscape reformed, starting from, okay, let's not talk about what Hastings did or the Macaulay system because they've been beaten to death by everyone. So let's only talk about the free and independent India when we made compulsory. Okay, when we made compulsory elementary education as a directive principle, and then came the National Policy of Education in 1986, the year I was born, and it was reformed after 34 years, right, in 2020. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying it's not enough. So this is how the society's technology is going about. And what do you say? Dewey said in his essays, society is constantly changing, and that education reflects, generates, and guides social change. Is our education guiding the social change? I really do not think so. Our education is barely coping up with what's happening in the society. And where is a parent here in this holy triangle? Where the students are here, the families and the school who's supposed to be working in this beautiful, harmonious, collaborative relationship, I think the parents, the families are excluded. They are sidelined, except working as financial investors for their children. Parents are not even allowed inside the school gates. Is that not true? Except on those days where we have parent-teacher conferences, or that day when the student and also the parent who dreads more to get that report card from that teacher, who will question what's wrong with your kid, and they have to answer. So this is how the parents are. Do we have a successful homeschool partnership? I'm not really sure. Please do not quote one or two exceptions as the case studies. They are the outliers. I'm sure you would also agree in this. If we have about 1,000 schools, maybe say 3 or 4 schools will have a successful parent-school relationship. Majority of the schools do not. And who is a teacher? A teacher is not a god. A teacher is a facilitator. Back in the old days, when all the knowledge and the information and the information were passed on to the disciples through the teacher. The teacher was the sole source, but today it's not the case, right? The teacher cannot be the single point from whom the dissemination of knowledge or experiences occur. The children also learn from so many other sources, and who is going to take all of the sources into account? And they also interact with each other, don't they? Right? Just give me a second. Yeah. Right. So accompanying and shaping the learning process together, facilitating learning is the role that the teacher should be doing, and in most cases they do not. And in the teacher-centered learning, the direction is unidirectional, right? And the class of students who will be more like a silent audience to whatever is being staged by the teacher. They have to silently witness and understand whatever they can. That's not how it can ideally shifted to this, I would say. And some schools have started it, and this is a beautiful concept called flipped learning. And right now, many schools have started embracing it. Yes, we have to adapt to flipped learning because the student knows the curricula. The student knows tomorrow what is the topic about, what's the teacher going to speak about. And the student anyway is going to Google it up and read about the digestive system, the human digestive system. So this is what flipped learning is all about. Before the class, before the teacher interacts, the child or the student, he learns about the topic, pre-session. And then during the class, the students and the teachers, they discuss, they interact about that topic. So the learning is happening before even the session starts. It can be a video recorded by the teacher herself, or the sharing of resources, because there are so many resources on any topic under the sun. And yeah, the students have to be requested to take the fingers off the lips. All of the times, this is what we want our kids to do: behave, not speak. Fingers on the lips. Are we not tired of this? Let's have them discuss. Let every class be a festival of ideas. When we allow them to brainstorm, they come up with brilliant solutions, don't they? And let's blend learning. It's enough compartmentalizing knowledge. This is prevalent in almost all of the countries. In very few countries, like in the high-tech school, where they have blended learning, very few schools have interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary or even transdisciplinary learning. So what is all this? So multidisciplinary learning is more like a project-oriented learning, where they understand, okay, they go to a pond, they study the ecosystem, they study geography there, and they study science there, and they study so many other life skills there. So that's this. And what is interdisciplinary? where everything overlaps. That's interdisciplinary. But this is transdisciplinary. This is how real life is, isn't it? In school, we have literature, geometry, arts, biology, health, history in different beautiful colors. It's very beautifully packed and presented in every single class hour. But in life, it's all a mess like this, right? It's all blended together. A child is exposed out of the school, out of the college. He comes and sees the world. This is how the world operates. Shouldn't he be prepared for this? So that is why we need this. And I request to personalize education. Education can be personalized. It's not difficult and it is necessary. Say this is my real life case studies. I'll be explaining who this person is and who that little kid is. Before that, how and why should we personalize education, you ask? Okay, imagine, just close your eyes and imagine with me, if you will, that you wake up in the morning and you strap on your boots or jogging shoes and put on your headphones or whatever you are comfortable with wearing, earbuds or headphones, and you go for jogging, but your playlist will be decided by somebody else. What you should be listening when you are jogging would be done by somebody else. Or what you should be eating every day will be decided by somebody else, and you should, because it's very good for you, you should only eat it. What you like, it doesn't matter. What you really crave for doesn't matter. Would you really like that? But that is what we are making our children undergo for how many years? Right from they start their pre-KG in third, I don't know. Some people even put their child in a preschool in 2 or 3 years. And from then on till they graduate, whatever they are supposed to be learning is defined by somebody else. Does that make any sense? It doesn't to me. So that is why, okay, I liked to study, but still I did not like rote learning. So this is when I was in school, I never had classwork notebook, homework notebook. I didn't have that. And I've always stood outside my classroom because I know it's important, but more important is we have to learn, right? So we learn from the textbook and we get good marks in the exam, but that's not sufficient for a strict class teacher. And we have to, I'm sure most of you agree, yes, we have to maintain good observation notebook and a record notebook. What will be there in the observation and record notebook? Same thing. All the experiments beautifully written, very neatly presented in both. No change. It doesn't matter if you know it already. You have to write in both. So I never had any of this. And I started bunking my mathematics class from my class 4. I did not understand. I could not process numbers. So I have never I've scored just the bare minimum to pass my 10th grade. And in the 11th grade, I did not choose math. And in the 12th grade, I came school first in language. So all that is there. But when I do not like something, why should I be forced to do it? Okay, so it's a miracle that I stood first in university, but that doesn't matter. Throughout my school, it was hell. I did not like it. And that is why this little boy here is my son. And I do not want to suffocate him with this current education system. I want him to lead his own learning. So every day what we do is whatever he wants to do. Art or stories, or he's about 5+ years now. And I'm not homeschooling, I'm unschooling him. It's a different term. And we have put him in a flexi school where people like us who do not trust in the system, because when a bell rings, is it not cruel for a person who's writing poetry to close the book and go to a different cell and understand mathematics? Why should that system, I don't know, that system did not work for me, and I do not want any of, if it's within the purview of the possibility or the intentions of the parents, maybe they can also consider this. So this beautiful school called Unschool is in Pune. So it's a flexi school. There are teachers and there are parents, and learning happens in a shared space. Whatever you want to do in your home, you can do with that. And all of the other kids are also there. And if they are interested, they will be a part of the learning experiments that you have there. So there are so many avenues like this, and you can explore. And this can also be institutionalized, but these systems should not be rigid. The thing is, many parents do not know if this is even allowed. It is legal in India. We have NIOS. I think Vijay Kumar sir would be an expert in this to explain what NIOS is all about. And this is another example, a live case study. This is my own brother. all through his schooling, he was not at all happy. We pulled him out of his school when he was in his ninth standard, and he loved sports. He loved playing, and he is a discus thrower. He's a state champion, and then he's leading a successful life. He is now. This was when he was 18 or 19. Now he is 30, and he's very happily married, having a successful career. So your education does not determine your career or life success, right? So let's bridge that gap, or let's make the definition of knowledge or learning more broad. Your score in mathematics does not define your success in your life, right? So anything that is worth teaching can be presented in many different ways, and these multiple ways can make use of our multiple intelligences. This is Howard Gardner, and this is his theory of multiple intelligences. So intelligence is not just, it's not very constrained. It's not as limited as our teachers led us to believe, as our school or society or the system is making us believe. It's not true, because literacy, in its broadest definition, is the single most significant skill needed to function effectively. And when this is wrong, when the system is wrong, be an outsider, come out of the system, and let's make the best versions of every single individual. It can be your own child, your brother, your nephew, anybody. If it's not working, there are systems and venues where they can explore and they can become the best versions of themselves. So in school or in the workplace or in the society, it is vital that a successful education career, to have a successful education career and a quality of life. So let's conclude my rambling now. Let's go for a discussion now. So I'll stop my sharing. Thank you.
So, Madam Arulmozhi, your session was fabulous. I'm also watching people have been proactive to your ideas, but you have given 2 examples in your family. Good, but at this point of time, when you also have seen the educational pattern system delivery mechanism in the school, how do you think this new education policy will be able to create some kind of change or paradigm shift in the practice of the educators and educated?
The new education policy of 2020, I think it has its own merits. It's like there is some change, but there is not, it's not re-engineering the system. The different cadres, like it's not just primary and higher secondary, and also being able to leave the college education after 1 year with a diploma certificate. All those are okay. And learning coding, that's also very important, because coding is the new language. So that's, all of these are good, but this is not just enough.
What is your true feeling and opinion about the present state of educators, called educators, who will be able to, who should be able to connect with the new education policies? Is it possible? Is it happening?
The teachers of this country have their best intentions at heart, and they are the most hardworking human beings in the world ever. But what they lack, I would say they would lack the tools, the resources that are necessary, that can only be provided by the overarching system.
We know that everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
That's true.
What is the point of being intention or concern or serious or expecting? What is the value of this unless they become part of the process, part of the change? Every parent want to have a good education system. They want to know the present. They want to know the future. If you go and ask even 1 million and crores of people, their intention is good. But why the change is not taking place? We have thousands and thousands of articles published in the newspaper, great educators, philosophers talking about the ill effect of the present education, and 8th standard student cannot read 4th standard mathematics, and the huge differentiated between private education and government education? Any policy you make, is it going to be different for the government, different for private? How can you make everyone to wear the same size of the shoes? With such a large country, with 25 to 30 crore children going to the school and 10 crore children, boys and girls going to the colleges?
That's true, sir. We expect the square pegs to fit into round holes. Majority of the times we make students feel frustrated. But
So can
what
we
do you
say-
think is the solution, sir? I would ask you, sir. Yes, sir.
Maybe we have to watch and see for another 100 years. I really don't know, because I am 63. I watched the education last 36 did not change. Whether it's a private school or government school, people have become highly unit-focused, and they want only to talk. They have not encouraged students. Anyhow, I'm very happy that you're able to tell out your ideas, and then we really look forward. The new education policy should do something, but it is of a high order. It is a utopian kind document where people would be able to realize it, even if it will take 10 to 15 years. Anyhow, since I'm talking part of a 3G as an advisor, I have more ideas about this. And thank you very much, madam, for participation. I will continue and conclude this speech, madam.
So, may I ask your opinion on homeschooling or unschooling initiatives that parents have actively started opting for their children at this current times?
Actually, today, with the current student population, you should have unschooling, we should have a homeschooling, we should have a no schooling, we should have types of schooling. Much. We should have a parenting schooling, we should have a no teacher schooling, we should have a no knowledge schooling, we should have a natural schooling, we should have a planetary, we should have a universal schooling. Thousands and thousand types of schooling is not required depending upon the parents' situation, economic structure. So many things we require now. But with the current limitation of the creators of education policies and the kind of participants, it is of a high order, because India is not other country. That people should understand. We cannot be a copycat. But I just want to really tell you that more than industrial revolution and more than educational revolution, there should be a social revolution. People revolution should be there in the minds. And that should be the order now, where the knowledge should be disseminated from the school, not only to the student, even to the parents. Take, for example, today, when millions of students are listening in the Zoom, their education program, not even from school, were able to spend even 5 minutes with the parents exclusively. Not even one teacher is able to call the parents and make the parent to sit separately and talk to them about this problem during this corona period. And what is the idea is all about? The children at home and parents are neglected. Parents should be also called for some kind of a brief discussion, understanding the child psychology at home. Child's behavior and psychology at school and at home are totally different. Why it is not taking place? And how do you think parents can plan a career now? Forget education. Every child, parents are investing more than 50 lakh rupees. Any middle income group spends 50 lakh rupees to create a graduate in their family. What is the career about? 1 crore educated graduate boys are now coolies, knowledge workers, knowledge coolies now in Tamil Nadu. Who can stop this? I think 3G has taken the initiative. We are all part of this 3G, and our chairman, Dr. Syed, is doing hectic research 24/7, and we want to create this revolution in India now. And I hope we will do that. And as a part of, I think we have come to the concluding part of this program. Let me continue and conclude it. See, the fact remains to be seen now is, I really do not know whether we have educators in our country, whether we have educational philosophers, whether we have education research scholars. I'm sure there must be 1 million PhD holders who have done research in education, what they are doing, why their news are not coming about new education policies. So I'm not going to be talking about the pitfalls and the negative aspect, but I am very angry. We are very, I do not know whether I am angry or millions of people are angry. There are people are very angry about the today's education system. Why can't we do something? What happened to a career to a boy or girl? Today now, under this corona period, we do not know when the corona will end. How the career has to be planned. So when 3G has created this platform to create a career coaching, it is because the educational system will not change for another 100 years. There will be same teacher, there will be same school, same management, same college, killing millions of people's future. How come this country have 10 crore unemployed people, underemployed people, unemployable people? We are not talking about school dropout, we are talking graduates. So therefore, I am telling an educational system which doesn't understand the aspiration, cannot understand the career focus, who cannot understand the prime movers called parents, cannot give us success stories. So 3G has taken this responsibility. We want to create millions of career coaches, career educators. We want to address at least 30 crore boys and girls in the country in the next few years to talk about, to understand what is his career, how we connect education with career, how we can understand all the revolution. He cannot create history. He has to survive. Now, whom we are creating? People who are going to apply and seeking for the job. I have 25,000 engineers biodata who want to come and do a job for 5,000 rupees. Is this a country? And India can create a human capital and social capital for the world. Why we should suffer like this? So today, at least, I am put my 30 years experience in my company called India Trust. Now I'm part of 3G. Dr. Sahid is a great philosopher, thinker. Under his leadership, we want to create this system. We want to definitely address the stakeholders and the target audience at different level. Even an ordinary person can create a successful career in his life. How? Only when the stakeholders participate. Who are the stakeholders? The schools and colleges. Can they play stakeholders? They cannot. Finally, the individual and parents should become a part of the decision making. So we would like to take all our good materials, the wonderful knowledge, direct to the home, direct to the school. In Tamil, we have a beautiful word called Nalladur Kudumbam Palgalai Kalagam. A good home is a university. Every home can be created as a university. What a university require, what knowledge they require, what guidance they require, everything 3G can take to the families. We are not worried about the schools and colleges and universities. There are 1,000 universities, 50,000 colleges. What they have done to this nation? They conduct examination, they create an output as a mark, that's all. Where is the outcome of education? Why should we have unemployment? Why we are not able to create entrepreneurs? All this because of the present education system. Even the new education policy is a wonderful document. It will take more than 25 to 30 years for people to understand and the people to practice it. But by the time India will be destroyed after this corona, India will be depending and raising the hand again with other countries, like what happened in 1950s, when we cannot have social capital out of human capital. Every educated boy and girl should become independent economically, socially. All these factors is not there out in the current system. So this career program, career management program, and the objective of this program is to have that. Today, there must be around 500 people listening to this. Maybe 15,000 people have registered. We want to reach 1 million, 100 million people in this country. Do you think Google will come and sit here and give jobs? Or do you think all the world's best world of companies will come to India and then have to nurture our boys? We are creating knowledge coolies. All knowledge managers and knowledge leaders are in other countries. Even the great intelligent people are migrating to other countries. We have to sustain it. Every school has got a responsibilities. No teacher have to wait for the parliament and the government to come and tell this. Every teacher can create a revolution in her own classroom with 40 students. Why it is not taking place? Why a teacher cannot create a revolution in her classroom with 50 students? For whom she is waiting? Why can't she go for other jobs? Why should she come for a teaching job? Is teaching job, even if it's the less paid, what is the kind of sacrifice the country is required? In the year 1965, when in Moscow, when the people asked Dr. Radhakrishnan, how your country is very poor, how it will become successful, he said, my teachers will take care of my country. And which teacher is taking care of this country? Which university is taking care of this country? Where is the social responsibility being taught? Where is the social conscience is being taught? Mere teaching mathematics, physics, chemistry, geography, student will become brilliant, they'll get marks, and now you see hundreds and millions of people are in the street without a job. No company is recognizing. The greatest and the most dangerous people are companies and corporates. They have to go to the school, go to the teacher, they have to talk. They have to tell what is career about. They have to tell 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now, I am going to take them, teach them this. That is not taking place. Everybody are living in a different islands. Everybody are taking care of their own interests. India has become one of the bloody selfish country. Each one want to take care of themselves. Imagine now how many students at home, how many young boys at home. What is the solution now for this? Where they'll go for a job? Who will teach them a career? Who will give them money now? People have to die out of hunger, inferiority complex. This is the situation now. I have just exhibited my anger through this word, but there should be a solution. Even the 15,000 people or 1 lakh people or 10,000 people listening to this, what they will do after listening to it, they'll go home and sleep. Now I am telling you, my dear boys and girls or educators who are listening this, 3G is there to build this nation. Let us become part of this 3G. I'm not going to ask you, I'm not going to tell you government of India exists, government of Tamil Nadu exists, university are there. We are not going to blame and talk to anybody. 3G is here. Please come. Be with us. We will take care of you. Mahatma Gandhi said, understanding the difference between what you are doing and what you are capable of doing will be sufficient to solve all the earth problem. We are all doing something, but we are capable of doing something else. Let us understand the difference and then let us do that and let us be part of this revolution that is taking place in our country through some dependable organization. We are that. Please be with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And definitely your audience also really, they also understood your anger, and I will request the MC to take over further.
Thank you so much, sir, for this informative session. Also, I would like to agree on your point that we are really disappointed and we question our education system time and again, but I'm really proud to be a part of this event and a part of 3G, who are empowering people to create their own jobs through this mission. Thank you so much, sir. Also, we would like to present to you our certificates. E-certificates, please accept the certificates.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So here would be the certificate for Professor A. Vijay Kumar.
Yes, let's move to the next certificate.
And Arul ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Team 3G, and everyone who is a part of this webinar. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. All right.
Join the mission, build India. Join the mission, build India to serve the world. Join the mission and build India to serve the world.
Join the mission, build India to serve the world.
Join the mission, build India to serve the world.